Scorpio, something miraculous is unfolding for you. Your financial breakthrough is on its way, and this time, it will overflow into the lives of those who love you. Your abundance will not be a solitary experience, but a shared elevation of soul, home, and heart. Welcome to Miracle of the Sign. If this message found you today, it's not by chance. It's because your spirit has already been whispering that something sacred is arriving. And in this exact moment, you were guided to hear it confirmed. This is not just a horoscope. This is a divine alignment. A confirmation from the universe and from God that the harvest you've prayed for, waited for, and grown into is now ready to be revealed. You've sensed this shift long before this video appeared. You felt something stirring in your soul, haven't you? Like a quiet hum that won't go away. That inner pull you couldn't explain. It's your spirit picking up on the divine orchestration already in motion. And now, that spiritual momentum is manifesting in the physical through wealth, restoration, and the elevation of your household. Scorpio, this financial miracle coming toward you is not merely about numbers in a bank account. It's a full circle return. It's your reward for silent obedience. For staying faithful when there was no applause. For choosing peace when chaos would have been easier. This wealth is encoded with purpose. It's coming not only to change your circumstances but to heal ancestral wounds, to build generational safety, and to elevate those who walked with you when you had nothing to offer but your presence. So let me ask you, can you feel that this message is yours? Can you sense the spirit confirming it inside your chest? Then I invite you to pause here and write in the comments, "I'm ready to live in abundance with the people I love." Let your words anchor this energy. Let them serve as a sacred agreement between your faith and your future. You're not just typing. You're declaring. You see, you've already been planting these seeds. Through patience. Through silent sacrifice. Through prayers you whispered when you weren't sure who was listening. But someone was listening. God was. The divine has not ignored a single tear or act of faith. And as it says in Scripture, those who sow with tears shall reap with songs of joy. Scorpio, I want to take a moment and thank you for your presence here, for every like, every comment, every subscription. Your support does more than grow a channel, it expands a sacred space for messages like this to reach the right hearts at the right time. And if you're here right now, I believe with my whole soul that your time has come. So please, stay with me until the very end of today's message. Because what the universe is revealing about your sign right now is nothing short of breathtaking. Not only are you rising, but those who believed in you, prayed with you, and stayed beside you, they're about to rise too. This is a season of shared miracles, multiplied blessings, and quiet prophecies fulfilled. Let's take this journey together. You've waited long enough. It's time to witness what God and the universe have been preparing behind the scenes just for you. You've likely felt it for some time now, a gentle, persistent nudge in your spirit that something is shifting, even if the world around you hasn't yet caught up. That feeling isn't your imagination, it's your intuition, that sacred inner compass unique to Scorpio, whispering from the depths. As a sign ruled by Pluto, the planet of transformation and rebirth, you were born not just to survive endings but to become more powerful through them. You don't just endure storms. You are the storm that clears the path. When the tower shows up in your energetic field, most people fear its arrival. But for you, Scorpio, the tower is familiar. You understand that collapse is not chaos, it's sacred reordering. It's the breaking of illusions that no longer serve your growth. You've already been sensing that the old systems in your life, emotional patterns, financial constraints, outdated beliefs are no longer sustainable. This shake-up is not punishment. It's preparation. It's a divine dismantling to create space for something far greater than you've ever allowed yourself to hold. And then comes the magician right beside it. That's not coincidence. That's cosmic choreography. You see, in the tarot, the magician is card number 1. It follows the fool's leap of faith and signals the moment where potential becomes creation. Paired with the tower, this means that as soon as the old is cleared, your ability to manifest will skyrocket. Why? Because there's finally room. Energetically, emotionally, and mentally being set free from the clutter of lack so you can channel clarity into abundance. But here's what most people miss. Manifestation doesn't happen through force, it unfolds through alignment. That means your role in this transformation is not to push harder, but to trust deeper. Trust that the upheaval is sacred. Trust that your desires are heard. Trust that timing is divine even when it doesn't feel convenient. And in that stillness of trust, the space within you expands. That's where miracles slip and through the cracks created by surrender. This is where astrology and healing intersect. Because Scorpio isn't just about intensity, it's about depth. When you learn to feel deeply without drowning in it, when you hold space for both shadow and light, you become unstoppable. Your emotional resilience is your greatest asset. You've walked through silence and scarcity. Now you're ready to walk in power and purpose. Think about a seed planted in the dark. It doesn't sprout overnight. It takes time beneath the soil, buried where no one sees, before it breaks open. That breaking is painful, but it's necessary. Only then does it stretch upward, toward the light it somehow knew was there all along. That's you, Scorpio. Your inner seed has already cracked open. This moment this energized the first sign of green above the soil. And while this transformation may not feel like a celebration just yet, it is holy. In the realm of spiritual growth, what feels like an end is often the beginning in disguise. What looks like loss is often disguised liberation. So if your world has felt uncertain lately, it's because it's being rewritten. Soften your shoulders. Inhale deeply. You're not breaking down, you're breaking through. You're not alone. The universe isn't abandoning you. It's rearranging itself to meet you at the level of your becoming. Don't resist the fall. It's what gives you wings. Trust that you're stepping into the chapter you were always meant to live. And trust that your intuition has brought you here, exactly on time. When you've carried the weight of lack, when you've known what it's like to stretch every dollar, to silence your dreams for the sake of survival, to wonder if love will last when the world feels empty, it changes the way you receive abundance. It softens you. It humbles you. And when it finally arrives, it's not just about celebrating the overflow, it's about honoring who stayed beside you through the drought. Wealth, when aligned with soul, becomes more than money. It becomes a landscape for shared healing. You are not just building a life anymore, you are building a kingdom. A kingdom where generosity replaces scarcity, where safety takes root, and where love is no longer tested by struggle but elevated by stability. And perhaps the most beautiful truth of all is this: you will not rise alone. Scorpio, someone has been walking this journey with you not because they needed what you could give them, but because they saw who you are even when the world didn't. Maybe it's a partner, a friend, a parent, a child. Someone whose love has been steady, quiet, and unconditional. Someone who never asked you to be perfect, just present. And now, as life prepares to reward your persistence, that reward will extend to them too. The abundance that's coming isn't meant to separate you, it's meant to bind you closer. In energy, in gratitude, in shared peace. Astrologically, Scorpio teaches us about depth, about intimacy, about the kind of soul connection that goes far beyond surface-level loyalty. And as Pluto continues its transformational pull in your chart, you're being guided not just to receive but to receive and include. This inclusion of others in your expansion is not a burden. It's a blessing. In fact, it's the very thing that makes the wealth feel meaningful. Because real wealth isn't about how much you have, it's about what flows through you and into the lives of those you love. Think of your homies, your physical space, but also your emotional home. What if it could become a sanctuary? A space that reflects not just security, but intention? A place where people feel seen, held, and renewed simply by being in your presence? That's what you're building. And you're not doing it alone. You are co-creating with someone who has already proven they are safe with your silence, your uncertainty, and your unbecoming. They deserve to witness your becoming. This moment is an invitation to let your heart expand alongside your bank account. To let loyalty be a foundation for legacy. To see your success as a ripple effect, not a destination. You are the stone that hits the water, yes, but the waves? They belong to the ones who never stopped believing in you. So take a breath. Pause in the awareness that your wealth will have weight. Not the kind that drags you down, but the kind that roots you deeper into love. Into meaning. Into shared joy. Because wealth without people to love is noise. But wealth that wraps itself around loyalty, that becomes music. And maybe now is the perfect time to speak their name. Say it out loud. Or better yet, write it in the comments below. Declare who you want to share your abundance with. Because the energy of inclusion activates the energy of multiplication. Let your heart open wide enough to bless someone else with the life you've been manifesting. They've earned their seat at your table. Now let the feast begin. Sometimes the past doesn't return to reopen wounds, it returns to offer closure, clarity, or even quiet redemption. Scorpio, you more than anyone understand the weight and depth of human bonds. Your energy is magnetic, deeply emotional, and fiercely loyal. And because of this, the connections you form are rarely fleeting. Even when someone leaves your life, the energetic thread often remains, vibrating softly beneath the surface. This is not weakness, it is sacred remembrance. And now, the universe may be preparing to bring one of those threads back into your hands, not to tie it tighter, but to offer you something unexpected, healing. Someone from your past, someone you once trusted, once loved, or even once forgave in silence, may be making their way back into your life. But this time, they do not carry the same energy they left with. They return with growth. With hindsight. With a softened heart shaped by life's own trials. And while your initial instinct might be to shield yourself to protect the fortress you've built from the inside out, there's a deeper invitation here: to listen, to observe, to discern not from fear, but from wisdom. Astrologically, Scorpio is governed by the 8th house, the realm of death and rebirth, of shared resources and soul contracts. You are not unfamiliar with the way life circulates people through your story in cycles. Sometimes to test you, sometimes to mirror you, sometimes to elevate you. This return may be a quiet echo of a soul contract still unfolding, not in the same way it once did, but in a renewed, more mature form. Their presence may not demand permanence, but it does offer something valuable. It may come as an apology that soothes an old ache, a gift that arrives in perfect timing, a collaboration you never imagined, or simply a shift in energy that brings peace where there was once only silence. The healing here isn't necessarily about rekindling romance or restoring what was. It's about witnessing the power of growth, both theirs and your own. It's about recognizing that love, in its many forms, often travels through time, carrying lessons that only reveal themselves when we're truly ready to receive them. And Scorpio, your energy now suggests you are ready. Ready to receive with clarity. Ready to forgive without losing boundaries. Ready to acknowledge the lesson without reliving the pain. You've come so far. You've built so much within yourself: strength, discernment, stability. Let this return be a reflection of that. Let it affirm how much you've evolved, and how differently you choose to meet life now. You no longer need to overextend or prove your worth. You only need to stay rooted in your own frequency, and from that place, you'll know exactly what to do. Whether this person stays or simply passes through like a sacred messenger, honor the significance of their return. It may be the universe's way of reminding you that no love is ever wasted, no encounter ever meaningless. Even the ones that broke you once may now come bearing blessings wrapped in humility. So breathe. Stay open, but anchored. Let compassion guide you, not nostalgia. Let discernment walk with grace. And remember, healing doesn't always come in grand gestures. It often arrives in small, holy moments of reconnection, where the heart finally exhales and says, "I see now." There's beauty in allowing the past to return, not to reclaim you, but to reflect how far you've traveled since it left. Not everyone can celebrate your light, especially when they haven't yet discovered their own. As you rise into this next season of stability, clarity, and inner peace, your glow becomes undeniable. And that glow, Scorpio, doesn't just illuminate your path, it exposes the shadows of those who never thought you'd make it here. There are eyes watching, some in admiration, yes, but others with a silent Akia resentment that whispers, "Why them, and not me?" This is not your fault, nor is it your responsibility. But it is something to be aware of. Because light, when not handled with discernment, can attract more than just blessings. It draws attention, projection, and energy you never asked for. In astrology, Scorpio is the keeper of secrets, the master of sacred silence. You understand intuitively that not all power is loud, and not all progress should be announced. This moment in your journey asks you to remember that. Just because something is blooming in your life, be it financial gain, emotional growth, or spiritual clarity, doesn't mean it's meant to be broadcasted. Some miracles need quiet space to anchor themselves. Not everything beautiful survives exposure. Not every victory needs an audience. There is strength in mystery. There is safety in discretion. As you continue to build, grow, and manifest, let your actions speak louder than your declarations. Let your abundance be wrapped in reverence, not in display. Because sometimes, the most sacred things lose power when they are too widely shared too soon. This isn't about shrinking or hiding, this is about protecting what's still unfolding. About letting your energy build in silence until it becomes unshakable. From the perspective of energy work, everything you own carries a vibration, including your thoughts, your money, your intentions. When you share these things openly, especially with those who are not rooted in love or alignment, you risk entangling their vibrations with yours. And sometimes, their energy doesn't come in the form of words or actions, it comes in the form of spiritual interference, subtle blocks, or a sense of emotional fatigue that seems to appear out of nowhere. That's not coincidence. That's energy not meant to mix with yours. The law of attraction reminds us that we magnetize what we energetically match. So the more grounded, grateful, and private you are about your wins, the more momentum they gain. The more peace you hold inside, the harder it is for outside energy to penetrate. And the more intentional you are about who has access to your inner world, the more protected your outer world becomes. This is a season of refinement, not just reward. You're not just being blessed, you're being entrusted. And with that trust comes responsibility. Scorpio, you are not meant to dim your light, but you are being called to direct it wisely. Shine, but don't explain. Prosper, but don't overexpose. Walk tall, but don't feel obligated to reveal every step. In doing so, you preserve the sacredness of your becoming. So when you sense that someone is watching not with love, but with lack, choose not to confront, but to retreat inward. Strengthen your aura. Ground yourself. And continue on with quiet power. Because nothing disrupts darkness like a soul who knows how to shine without permission, without performance, and without apology. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the invisible labor finally meets its visible reward. Scorpio, you are now standing at the edge of such a moment. You've endured the waiting seasons, the ones that felt still, silent, even forgotten. But they were not empty. They were sacred. Those sleepless nights where you carried your faith like a quiet ember, those private tears you shed without witness, the choices you made when no one was watching, all of it has been seen. And the universe, in its divine timing, is responding with what we call sacred compensation. The energy of the Nine of Pentacles speaks of self-earned wealth, of abundance that arrives not through shortcuts or luck, but through consistent alignment, inner work, and patient discipline. It is not just about money, it is about the kind of security that grows from knowing who you are and what you truly deserve. That sense of stability is now expanding. And not just in the external sense of your finances, but internally, within your relationship to receiving, to deserving, to being fully supported by life. When we look to the Six of Pentacles, we're reminded that the blessing you're about to receive is not for you alone. It carries an echo, a ripple, because your heart has already shown that when given more, you become a giver. You understand the law of circulation. That what we hold on to tightly may grow stagnant, but what we share with intention continues to multiply. You will know exactly who to bless, because you've once stood in their shoes. And that's what makes you trustworthy with this increase. Not just your wisdom, but your compassion. The Four of Pentacles reminds us to remain anchored as we grow. This is not a warning to hoard or fear loss, but rather a call to conscious stewardship. You're being asked to hold your abundance with reverence, not recklessness. To lead with gratitude, not ego. To build structures around your wealth that allow it to nourish, protect, and empower not just you, but the community around you. Financial miracles don't always look like lottery wins or sudden windfalls. Sometimes, they arrive as steady streams: new clients, unexpected favor, increased savings, or a life upgrade that brings peace instead of chaos. Sometimes, they show up as clarity, a shift in how you value yourself and what you're willing to accept. These are miracles too. Because money is not just currency, it is energy. And when your energy changes, so does your relationship to wealth. This chapter is not about indulgence. It's about embodiment. It's about living inside the dream you once whispered into a dark room. You don't have to choose between survival and joy anymore. The reward is here not just because you waited, but because you trusted. And now, life is trusting you back. So as this financial healing unfolds, hold your expansion with both hands and an open heart. Be bold in your plans, but humble in your posture. Let your life speak for itself. Let your abundance be a quiet revolution, a testimony to what happens when a soul keeps showing up with love, with faith, with quiet resilience. And most importantly, remember, the dream was never just about you. It was always about what could happen through you. Now that the blessings are here, may they pour through your life like rivers, nourishing not only your table, but the tables of those who once fed your spirit when you had nothing else to offer. That is the true miracle. And it's already on its way. Scorpio, if you've made it this far, I want you to pause for a moment, not to look back in regret, but to look within with reverence. Everything you've just received in this message wasn't simply information, it was a confirmation. A gentle unfolding of truths your soul already knew, but perhaps hadn't yet put into words. You were never meant to walk through fire without becoming light. You were never meant to lose without learning. And you were certainly never meant to grow in silence without, one day, being seen in fullness. What if this is the moment you stop hoping and start declaring? What if today you finally allow yourself to believe that not only is abundance meant for you, but that it's meant to be shared, lived, and multiplied through the very people who loved you when you had nothing to give but your heart? What would change in your life if you treated your faith not as a fragile hope, but as the foundation of everything that's coming next? You have all the tools. You've always had them. The discipline you built in quiet. The wisdom earned through wounds. The spiritual strength you developed when no one clapped for you. Now is the time to put it into practice. Start small if you must, but start. How will you honor what's trying to bloom in you right now? What will you do differently this week, this day, even in the next hour, to affirm that you're ready to receive and protect what you've been praying for? And as you reflect, I encourage you to make this moment sacred. Write it. Anchor it. Speak life into it. Declare in the comments, I receive divine abundance with the ones I love. Let those words become more than text on a screen. Let them become a prayer, a promise, a portal. Your presence here means more than you know. Every like, every comment, every subscription to Miracle of the Sign helps this light reach more souls just like yours, souls who are healing, growing, and rising. So thank you, from the depths of my heart, for choosing to walk this journey with me. Your support doesn't just sustain this space, it expands it, allowing us to continue sowing truth, light, and love into a world that desperately needs it. And Scorpio, believe me when I say, you'll want to stay with us through the next chapter. Because what's coming for you is not only bigger than what you lost, it's more aligned than what you even dared to ask for. Miracles have already been set in motion. And now, it's time to live in the harvest you've been sowing faithfully, quietly, bravely. So ask yourself, what part of you is finally ready to receive? What would your life look like if you trusted your light as much as you feared your shadow? And most importantly, who do you want standing beside you when your blessings finally arrive? Leave your answer below. Like, subscribe, and keep showing up for your purpose, for your people, for your peace. You are not behind. You are right on divine time.